Hello everyone. We are starting with PUC first year computer science syllabus and that's chapter 1 overview of a computer system. So basically, we know that computers are basically electronic devices. So during this, like nowadays, computers are very much essential thing. So we will study as per the syllabus provided in your from the Karnataka board. So first, computer. What is computer? Definition. Computer is an electronic device designed to automatically accept the input, process them, and gives out the output according to the instructions given by the user. So, in simple terms, we can say computer is basically an electronic device which works on basically three-step formula. That is input data, process, information. So as per this formula, computer accepts raw data from the user and then the data will be stored into the computer memory and it will be processed by the CPU. The input data will be manipulated to prepare the final result. Then the result will be produced either on the screen or on the paper. So as per this formula, computer is an electronic device which accepts input data and stores them and process to produce the required output or information. Now we have, so during this process, many of the parts of computer will get involved while feeding the input, processing and output and all. Later on, we'll see one by one what all the parts which are included in this process. So the computer system includes hardware and software. Hardware in the sense the electrical and electronical parts of the computer are called as hardware, or the physical parts of the computer can be called as hardware. So for example, the parts which you can touch and feel like keyboard, mouse, monitor, system box, web camera, the speakers, printers, scanners, right? So these are all what hardware. So here in the hardware, we have many external parts as well as internal parts are present. Similarly, one more very essential thing is software, right? One more essential thing is software. Software is what? These are the set of programs which will help the user, to make the hardware to work. So I want to give a little clarity on software. See, for example, bike, all parts of a bike are hardware. But the fuel which makes that bike to work, which makes all the parts of the bike to work, that is what software. Similarly, human being, parts of human body, internal and external, they're all hardware. Whereas the oxygen is a software. Without oxygen, we can't live. Without fuel, bike or a car will not work. So the physical parts are hardware and the set of programs which makes that hardware to work is called as what? Software, right? So it contains set of programs. Using that, they do a variety of operations. There are different types of software. In that measure, we have operating system, right? Operating system, we have application softwares, we have accounting software, we have, right? Like that. So what are the characteristics of a computer system? The characteristics, in the sense, we can say the specialities of computer. One is speed, where all of we know that computer works fast in the sense what it is very good in doing calculations. It performs calculations very fast. Millions together instructions, calculations will be performed in a very short amount of time, right? So the CPU, right, the depends on the speed of the CPU. It shows on what speed of calculation is there in the computer. Then accuracy means the correctness of the computer. Means what? The result what it will produce, that result will be always correct, but input what provided by the user, no, it should be proper. Then only it will be correct. Then diligence, a computer can work for many hours continuously. That means what? Consistency we say. Consistency in the sense, in this case, see for human being, we start work and we work for 8 hours. After 8 hours, if we tell the person to work for another 8 hours continuously without rest, he can work, but he can't maintain the consistency. Interest can't be maintained properly in that. That is the main problem. So, but computer, as far as computer is considered, here what happens is you use the computer for any number of hours, it will not lose the interest, it will not get bored or tired. The efficiency of the computer will be remain same. Then storage is what, once if you store something into the computer, it will be there permanently. That is very special thing in the computer. And regarding cost or price, so because of the latest technologies nowadays, what is happening is computers are getting cheaper and cheaper compared to the earlier days. And versatile computers can be used for doing more than one type of operation. That is called as what? Versatile. Now we have data processing, where in this data processing means how data will be processed. As I said, the formula of the computer: input data, process, and the information. The data will be provided by the user. Data will be sent to the memory. The CPU will manipulate it and it gives the result. This is the basic formula suggested by Charles Babbage. He had adopted this thing in his machine. That is why he is considered as founder of computer, father of computer. So here you can see data means what? Raw material, what we supply to the computers, like letters, numbers, symbols, pictures, audio, video. These are all, whatever you send to the computer, it's all from external world to the computer. It's all data. The information means after the processing of raw data, whatever you get, it is all called as what? Information. So now here functional parts of a computer system, or we can say block diagram of a computer, right? The block diagram of a computer is different from the computer diagram what school students will draw, right? So that is why this is also one question, like they may ask you like draw the block diagram of a computer or draw a diagram showing functional parts of a computer system, right? So block diagram of a computer. Where in this you can see the diagram, it is there in your textbook. One moment, that diagram also will show you. Just 1 minute, please. So usually this diagram is what it is based on, the formula of computer. Yes, this is the functional parts of a computer where this diagram is having 4 sections. First one is input unit. This is the part from where we are going to feed the input data to the computer. That data comes directly into the memory unit. And once after storing it into the memory unit, so here the control unit will give the proper direction, how to use that input data, how to process it with the help of arithmetic and logical unit through the support of registers, and the final result will be sent to the output unit. So here input units are what? These are the parts through which we feed the data. And the CPU block, this is entirely a main part of the computer or a heart of the computer, we can say, because this is the part which performs all the operations, right? Which performs all the operations. The main work of a computer is done by CPU only. Stands for Central Processing Unit, where this part contains CU, that is Control Unit. It schedules all sequence of tasks or jobs to be performed in a computer system. Right? It schedules. See, it is not going to process. It is going to schedule what all processing has to be done by CPU. No, that scheduling will be done by control unit. As per the scheduling done by the control unit, CPU will be handling it, processing it. It also guides each and every device by sending signals for communication. So based on the communication, based on the signals sent by the control unit, all the parts will be working. And arithmetic and logical unit, in short, we say ALU. This is the part which performs all kinds of arithmetic and logical operations, right? Arithmetic operations like plus, minus, multiplication, division. Logical operations like AND or NOT computations will be done. It is also called as the processing done by the ALU is also called as what? Execution of instructions. See, now here in the further chapters, you are going to learn C++, where this execution word will come. Execute the program, like that. Execution of an instruction means the processing, the calculations done by ALU. And there is one more special thing inside the CPU called registers. The registers are temporary storage devices. These registers stores the data and instructions during execution. The registers have different sizes like 8 bits, 16 bits, 32 bits, 64 bits, and all. So these are like temporary storage places where temporarily data will be saved. And memory unit, it is apart from the CPU, it's not inside the CPU. In the diagram only you can see. So memory unit is what? This is the part which stores the data required by the CPU for the execution. Whatever the data you type in the input unit, it will come to the memory unit. From memory unit, it moves to the above parts as per the signals communication done by the control unit, so that ALU will start processing, executing the instructions. During the execution, if it needs some values to be stored for the further processing, those values will be stored in a temporary memory area called registers. And in the memory unit itself, we have types of memory, like different types are there, primary and secondary memory types are there. So where the primary memories are also called as main memories, right? Primary memories are also called as main memory, where the RAM and the ROM comes in this primary memory section. And the secondary memory, which help you to store your data permanently into the computer, even when the supply is not there in the computer, they are secondary memory. Like we have hard disk, DVD is there, but it is we are not using nowadays. Pen drives are there, right? SSD is there, right? So later on in detail, we are going to discuss regarding that. And the output unit is what? This is also another separate part, right? External part, where output is for showing the results or printing the results on the paper. And after this, here we have evolution of computer or history of computer, right? So wherein this evolution, like how, see, nowadays we have a computer, like for example, you use mobile, it is also a product of computer only, right? Earlier, how, what all different types of computers were there and what all different types of invention was done. So about that we are going to discuss. The first one is abacus. So it was there in 2500 BC, right? It was first known as a mechanical electronic mechanical calculating machine. It is considered as the first computer in the history of computer, right? So nowadays you can see that there are many tuitions like abacus coaching there where the kids will be doing mathematic calculations very fast. It is that device only by using which they do the arithmetic calculations. One more is Napier bonds. The name of the machine is Napier's bonds, right? It was there in 1614 AD. Right, it was invented by John Napier, a Scottish mathematician. Many of the mathematicians only they have created these different kinds of machines in the history of computer or in the evolution of a computer. Because of those inventions only, now the computer has been reduced to a like handheld devices. It has 9 bones or rods, and each bone is representing decimal digits like 1 to 8 and 9 up to 9. It has a fixed rod or a bone for a zero representation. It was basically used for multiplication. Right. These all are very important. So, what is the name of the machine? In which year it was there? Who found that machine? Right, and who invented it? And a brief explanation how that machine used to do work and what are the different types of operation they used to do using that machine. The one more is what slide rule, right? So it was there in 1633 AD. It was invented by William Outred. It has two sets of scales connected together with a marginal space between them. It uses logarithm to perform multiplication and division during the addition and subtraction method. And after that, we have Pascaline, like device, 1642 AD. It was invented by Blaise Pascal, French mathematician. It is also called as adding machine because it performs only addition. It has 8 movable dials or wheels of calculation. The first dial moves 10 notches, second dial moves 1 notch, and so on. One more is Leibniz calculator. So it was invented by Gottfried Gottfried William von Leibniz. He improved the Pascaline, that means the same operation they used to do. The Pascaline calculator, which was basically used only for doing addition, he improved it to make a multiplication. Right. And after that, Jacquard loom. In 1801, it was invented by Joseph Mary Jacquard. It is used for the punched cards automatically matching patterns to be woven in looming industry, right? In looming industry, right? Then after that, we have a difference engine 19, sorry, 1883. It is an analytical engine. See, this is also called as analytical engine. This is very special machine. You only come to know why it is like that. So this is developed by Charles Babbage, where we consider Charles Babbage as founder of computer, right? Father of computer. He is a mathematical professor in England. It was designed to perform or evaluate differential calculation. Thus it is called as difference engine. It has a huge structure and could able to perform calculations and print the results automatically. Right. So in the Google you can check for the diagram or the machine picture how it was. And after that, analytical engine, wherein the analytical engine is also what it is developed by Charles Babbage only. A general purpose computer was invented by Charles Babbage. He used punch cards to encode machine instructions. Because of this significant contribution, Charles Babbage is considered as father of computer. Nowadays, through the keyboard, how we are inputting the data, no, in the same way. Though in those days only, in 1883 itself, Charles Babbage like feeded the input, right? feeded the input to that analytical engine using punched cards, right? And the result used to punched cards to encode the machine instruction. Because of that way, what he had suggested over there. So nowadays, what the different types of input devices has been created, modern device, right? So now we have Ada Lovelace, English mathematician, assisted to Charles Babbage during the design of analytical engine. Therefore, often considered as first computer programmer. See, the world, the first computer programmer as well as first woman programmer in the world is what Ada Lovelace, right? And Ulrich's tabulating machine. Ulrich's tabulating machine, 1889. So it is invented by American scientist, first electromechanical punched card tablet it was. That is, he used punch card for input, output, and the data storage purpose. See, very important. Charles Babbage used punched cards for input purpose, but here in this machine, after this analytical engine, so they use that technique for inputting calculation, for input, output, and data storage. For all the three operations, they have used it. This machine was used by American Department of Census to process the census data. Later, it became International Business Machines Corporation, the largest desktop manufacturing company in the world, that is IBM, right? Generations of computer. This is about history, what all different types of computers came, now who all involved in developing the historical machines. Now we have generations of computer. The generation of computer is a step-by-step development in the field of computers. It includes when the computer was invented and how it was in the initial stage, later stage, and what are the improvements that took place, right? And what all the different types of operation they used to do. It is divided in 5 different stages. There are 5 generations of computer. The first one is first generation. In the first generation, here it is 1940 to 1956. Right, this period is called as whatever the machines developed no, during these days, they all come under first generation. The computers built during the World War II era are known as first generation computer. The main objective was to develop the computers to perform the computations automatically. The use of technology is to balance the financial crisis occurred during the Second World War. The basic element, electronic material element which was used, not electronic only, element was vacuum tube. You should remember the period and what material they had used and what kinds of operation they used to. Important features: computer size was very huge, non-portable, extremely slow, very difficult to program using low-level programming language. They were designed for a specific task and they never made it to general market. Vacuum tubes process data by allowing the passage of electrons, while magnetic drums use magnetic material to store the data. Prone to frequent hardware failures, and punched cards were used for input and output. These computers were very expensive and consuming large space as well as large amount of electric power, and less storage space they used to support. And the machine developed during this period is in the first generation is Mark I. With the help of IBM, Howard H. Aiken was able to develop the Mark I by 1944. Right, 1944. Mark I was about 50 feet, 50 feet wide and 8 feet tall. 8 feet tall. This is the dimension of that machine. And it used all addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and all. The Mark I was also They used to perform even trigonometric and portability functions. And they used electromagnetic signals to move mechanical parts. Later, predecessors of Mark I were introduced in the world, such as Mark II and Mark III. And another machine which was developed during this period is ENIAC 1943. The full form of this is Electronic Numerical Integrator, Analyzer and Computer. This is the full form. ENIAC was developed by colleagues John Maclay and J. Presper Eckert. They were junior at the University of Pennsylvania Moore School of Electrical Engineering. ENIAC was the first general purpose computer, right? All electronic programmable digital computer it is. And in those days only, the cost of this machine was $400,000. See, $400,000 means what? $400,000 to build, and occupied the space dimension was 50 feet wide, right? 50 feet wide by 30 feet dimension, the floor space. This computer consists of 18,000 vacuum tubes. Remember, 18,000 vacuum tubes were used to build this, and 70,000, 70K, 70,000 resistors were used, and 10,000 capacitors were used, and then 6,000 switches, 6,000 switches, and 1,500 relays, electronic relays. In addition to that, 30 tons and used up to 160 kilowatts of, see, its weight was 30 tons, right? And it uses to consume 160 kilowatt of power, kilowatts of electric power, right? So in a second, it uses to perform 5,000 operations per second. This was ENIAC. EDVAC, one more machine developed in 1945. John von Neumann played a key role in developing this machine. So where this machine's full form is Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer, EDVAC. So here it had a memory. Very special thing is it had a memory, right? So for storing the output and output data as well as input data. And it had a CPU also, which is found in many of the modern computers nowadays. What the CPU we are seeing, it was there in, first it was introduced in EDVAC. And some of its duties include executing instructions and performing operations. And then transistor, one more electronic material got developed during 1947. Transistor was first developed in 1947, right? So by Bell Telephone Industries, later on, this transistors replaced the vacuum tubes, which they used to produce more heat. See, nowadays we see that computers, like wherever you see, if some of your relatives are working in software industry, other relatives will be saying, hey, that fellow's job is very good because he works in a software company. Always he will be in AC like that. But AC is not actually for those employees who are working over there. It is for the computers because the computers can't tolerate heat. So it is there since the history itself. Because see, these vacuum tubes, they used to produce very heavy amount of heat. To control that heat, they used to have ACs and all, right? So now here transistors, they replaced vacuum tubes. Because of this, here big, bulky, costly, and unreliable, right? Which were vacuum tubes were big in size, right? So we have to use large amount of vacuum tubes, and they were very costly and they were unreliable. Because of that, transistors started using it. Once when this transistor got introduced in this computer field, the electronic field, so automatically computers started reducing size, cost, right? They were very comfortable. And now we have UNIVAC. UNIVAC, 1951. The Universal Automatic Computer was developed in 1951 by John Maclay and J. Prosper Eckert Jr., the creator of the ENIAC. It was commercial data processing computer, so its weight was 8 tons. See, recently, last topic, you saw that ENIAC was weighing 30 tons. But see, because of the transistor, right, the weight got reduced to 8 tons, right? And you know, the space also 14.5 feet by 7.5 feet. Can you see the difference? There it was 50 feet by 30 feet. Nowadays, one house size will be 50 feet by 30 feet, the ENIAC dimension. But because of the invention of the transistor ENIAC, which uses transistor, its size got reduced to a room size, right? 14.5 feet to 17 or 7.5 feet, and the weight also got reduced, right? So it uses to it was a stored program computer. That means your program used to store, then it is used to execute, and it can store up to 12,000 digits in its memory. It was that much capacity in its mercury relay line tubes. See, this is the memory they have used in UNIVAC, mercury relay line tubes. The UNIVAC had operator keyboard and a console typewriter for inputting and outputting, means what they have left using punched cards and all, and the result used to print on a tape printer, right? And other devices developed during this stage is what trans of Barry computer Z3 and ETSAC and more. The drawbacks were of this computer were like still they were huge. See, reduced compared to the earlier machine, size is reduced, weight is reduced, but still, right, they were still having interest to reduce the size of the computer and weight and all. Compared to that, the drawback were heavy size and the non-portable. That is a problem. Portable means you remember. Non-portable means program written in one type of UNIVAC machine cannot be executed on, cannot be operated on another type of computer. That was the main problem. That is why when these type of problems where they were present, no, so they were in continuation of in inventions of developing still very good computers, right? So storage capacity was very like less, and the speed was less, right? It was using only low level languages, which was very difficult. And now starts second generation, second generation of computers. Its period is 1956 to 1963. Its main objective is to improve of first generation computer in all respects. The basic component used in this is a transistor, right? It's an electronic material. So here vacuum tubes are replaced by transistors, right? To increase the capability of the computer. So already about transistors we have discussed, and these computers were also generally more reliable, and uh, they were solid compared to the design in the form of design compared to the other machine. So they were able to print, they were able to have disk storage, they were having OS, right? Stored program concept was introduced, and many languages like assembly level language, such as COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language, Fortran, Formula Translator, Translation. These programming languages were introduced in second generation, during second generation. The drawback was still they used to develop, they used to produce more heat, and because of the transistors, right, uh, by the transistor may damage sensitive electronic components. That was the main drawback. Now coming to third generation, period is 1964 to 1971. The main object is what? The second generation computer should be improved in with all respects in the form of speed, size, weight, storage, and other factors. So the here the one more electronic material got used, that is called as integrated circuit, what we call it as in short IC. Right. This is very important material. during a second, third generation. Because of this only, computer size got reduced, weight got reduced, speed, performance, everything. The totally we can say one new revolution started because of IC. So it was invented by Jack Kilby, an engineer with Texas Instrument in the year 1958. And what are the features of this? Computers were generally much smaller in size, as I said already, compared to the first generation, and the integrated circuits and the semiconductors, one more type of material that had the properties of an insulator and a conductor called a semiconductor. That was one more important electronic material which was used in third generation. Because of with the help of these two things, computer size, weight got reduced, performance is improved, and OS got introduced, which allowed computers to run variety of operations or difficult programs at once. And keyboard and monitors were introduced in third generation. See, this is the generation where keyboard and monitors got introduced. They were like input and output devices. For storage purpose, they were using magnetic disk like hard disk and floppy disk were came during these days. And mini computers, medium-sized computers were much cheaper compared to the other generation, right? And then the larger and bulkier mainframe computers. Third generation computers, no, they made transition from transistor to IC, that is integrated circuit, and from punched cards to hard disk, that is what electronic punched cards to electronic computer system. Now computers became electronic computer system. And the important machine developed during these things are IBM 360. It was introduced by IBM International Business Machines Corporation in the year 1964. The first model of this used transistors, but later these computers made a transition from transistors to integrated circuits. And one more machine was PDP-8, PDP-8 1965, right? So PDP-8 was successor to PDP-1 because it was the first computer to successfully make use of integrated circuits. So it was much smaller, cheaper, right, compared to the other things. Then HP dash 2115 developed in 1966, right, by the HP company, Hewlett Packard, right? And softwares developed. See, softwares developed not only hardware improvements, softwares also developed in every stages of generation. Are the world's very powerful and secured multi-user operating system called Unix got developed in the year of 1969, right? So at the AT&T Advanced Telephone and Telegraph, Bell Laboratories programmers Kenneth Thompson and Dennis Ritchie, see Dennis Ritchie, founder of C language, right? They developed new type of OS called Unix, using Unix. So Unix is, right, it is a multi-user operating system and very secure operating system even today days also. And the GUI in the 1970, GUI stands for graphical user interface. So that is what graphical based operating system got developed like Windows, right? Nowadays what Android use, iOS use, it's all product of that GUI only, right? So it was designed by Xerox Corporation. See the Xerox what we use. There is a company called as a Xerox, right? So GUI allowed user able to point and click. That means what they started using mouse these days. So drawbacks are like air conditioning is what mandatory in many cases. Highly sophisticated technology required for manufacturing of IC chips, right? IC chips for developing this manual preparation is very difficult because they will be very small in size. Nowadays, we see that these are all ICs are developed by CPUs are developed by all their robotics only. Human interference will not be there. You can check it out how many ICs, how many things will be there inside the CPU, or in the YouTube you can see how it is being manufactured by robots. So fourth generation computers during 1971 to the present generation, objective overall improvement of existing PC technology. Basic component they have what they have used is advanced integrated circuit, AIC, advanced integrated circuit, large scale integration, and VLSI, very large scale integration, and the microprocessors are introduced. Microprocessors are introduced during this. Computer became very smaller, price also got reduced, and millions of components. See, millions of components are used in a single small chip, silicon chip. So you see the YouTube videos to see how microprocessors are manufactured. You'll see, you'll feel like wonder how these small chips are doing all these type of functions. So here softwares are equipped in this, right? And even networking also got introduced. And because of the networking technology, even internet and World Wide Web (WW) also got introduced during this. And important devices developed during this is first time Intel 4004 in 1971 microprocessor. Intel company is the largest microprocessing processor company in the world. Majority of the computers are having Intel processors only, right? So it was a 4-bit microprocessor. Microprocessors are integrated circuits that contain thousands and millions of transistors. We see now ICs are also there. Millions of transistors are also used, but not like earlier transistors, right? So the Intel 4004 is the essence of general purpose computers, right? Other microprocessors were 8008 and 8080 by Intel were introduced. And here the softwares, important softwares, what they have developed during this days is CP bar N, control program for microcomputers, popular operating system at that time, and VCCALC, visible calculator, first personal computer financial analysis tool got developed, and in 1985 Windows software got developed. See, 1985 Windows, now what Windows 11 you are using nowadays, right? So that software was first introduced in the year 1985, right, by Microsoft Corporation. And even C++, what you have in your PUC syllabus, right, even that was introduced, and Windows 3.0 was introduced in 1980. I have worked with Windows 3.0, right. So drawbacks were highly advanced technology required to manufacture LSI and VLSI, and requires huge investment, not space. Huge investment was required. And the fifth generation computers, right? Present and future, right? Present and beyond, they are saying, right? So here, what the main objective is to develop high-speed computers to exhibit the human capabilities by using AI, which is a very hot technology in the computer field nowadays, artificial intelligence. The computer has to think, analyze, learn, like make decisions like a human brain, right? Perform actions, but the technology is still in the infant stage, right? So one key feature is what like parallel processing, neural programming, which is all going during this thing. Achievements are like artificial intelligence. It's super design of supercomputers, which is using AI for special applications. As there is a need of keeping huge amount of data storage capacity and increased requirements, introduce of robots, signals, and the possibility of showing human capabilities by the machine. Right. So now classifications of computers. So computers are being classified in different categories. So it is classified analog, digital, and hybrid three categories. Computers are classified into these three categories, where digital computers are based on size and performance, supercomputers, mainframe computers, mini computer, microcomputers, non-portable desktop and workstations, portables, laptop, notebook, laptop, and tablets have got developed. Based on computers, specific purpose computer and general purpose computers are developed in digital computer. Analog computers are what? This computer represents continuous data such as voice, current, temperature, uh, etc. The device that measures such quantities are analog devices. Few analog devices are voltmeter, thermometer, speedometer. These are all applications of analog computer. Even they are also analog computers. Remember, computer means always it will not look like this only. Computer technology is being adopted in variety of other types of computers also, other types of machines. Even they are also called as computers. But as per the application, they have given different names. So here they operate measuring rather than counting, right? So the calculation takes place concurrently, hence process is faster, but accuracy is limited. These are generally used for to measure the temperature, pressure, and voltage and all. Next, digital computers got developed, right? Where nowadays what computers they are all working, they are all digital computers. The computer operates on digital and discrete data. So here they work on the basis of binary language, that is 0 and 1, right? So these are very much helpful for